Hi, my name's Vince Sheehan and today I'd like to talk about Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, a 1988 film directed by Frank Oz, starring Michael Caine, Steve Martin and Glenn Headley. I'd like to go through this comedy exploring how the plot's put together as well as some of the themes that crop up. Now I guess if you could sum the film up, it's about two con men who meet their match and are then ultimately conned themselves. And basically the film's in three acts. And with Act 1 we're introduced to Lawrence Jameson and Freddie Benson. These are the two con men of the film. These are the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And Lawrence is this suave, charming, sophisticated man played by Michael Caine. And his modus operandi is to approach middle-aged women at the casinos in this town on the south of France, Beaumont-sur-Mer, on the French Riviera. And he cons them, he pretends he's this prince, and they become infatuated with him, and then he says he needs money for his people, particularly the children. They hand over their money and jewellery. And Lawrence has got a little team. He's got Andre, he's the local police chief, played by Anton Rogers. And he also has a butler, Arthur, played by Ian McDiarmid, who, weirdly, I didn't know this till recently, plays the Emperor in Return of the Jedi. Now, as well as Lawrence, we have Freddie Benson. Freddie Benson is he's completely different to Lawrence. They're like chalk and cheese. Freddie is a lot younger. He's kind of got more physical energy about him. He has a rather more crass and vulgar interest in money and wealth. He has a rather cynical worldview as well. And he tries to con middle-aged women as well, but in a completely different way. He pretends that he's penniless and he's trying to get money together to help his disabled grandmother. Now these two con men meet on a train. Turns out Freddie's on his way to Beaumont-sur-Mer, Lawrence's patch, if you like. And Lawrence doesn't want any competition. So at the beginning of the film, Lawrence is trying to get rid of this Freddie. But to no avail. Freddie's like a bad smell, he keeps coming back. And then Lawrence reads in the paper about this con man going around the area calling himself the Jackal. And Lawrence thinks that Freddie is this Jackal character. When Lawrence realises he can't get rid of him, he tries to train him up to be one of his team. And this is a funny bit in the film where Lawrence is training Freddie to walk in a particular way and to hold his wine glass in a particular way and to appreciate the finer things in life. And once he's done that, Freddie plays the part of Ruprecht, the prince's brother. And Lawrence says he's going to marry these wealthy women. He gets their money, and then Ruprecht, this I guess you call him someone with significant needs. Steve Martin plays him brilliantly. He kind of scares these women off by this crazy behaviour. But then eventually Freddie has enough. He has enough. He's not being paid for doing this, and so he decides to leave. Act 2 is all about a wager between the two. Lawrence realises that Freddie's not going anywhere. Both are competing on the same area, the same rich town. There's only room for one of them, so they have a wager. The first person to con a woman out of $50,000 will be able to stay, and the other one would have to leave. Winner takes all. And they set their sights on this younger lady, actually, much younger than their usual prey. She's called Janet Colgate, and they're under the impression that she's an heiress to this fortune. And she's this rather ditzy, clumsy character, attractive as well, and they're both drawn to her, and they both think that they can get this £50,000 easily. Lawrence is about to start his prince routine again, but before he can get going, Freddie turns up in a wheelchair pretending to be this paralysed naval officer who has lost the use of his legs ever since he saw his fiancée cheat on him with his dance instructor. So he has this supposedly emotional problem that he just can't walk. And it appears that Janet's completely taken in with this, so Freddie seems to be in the ascendancy here. He says the only person that can help him is Dr. Emil Schaffhausen. And somewhat hilariously, Lawrence gets wind of this, and lo and behold, he takes on the role of Dr. Emil Schaffhausen. It's a hilarious effect. And for this part of the film, Michael Caine's character, Lawrence, is just trying to uncover Freddie's disguise. And there's just these moments of sheer humiliation for Freddie, as both of them vie for Janet's attention. Now, eventually Janet tells her story. She's not an heiress after all. She's won a competition. She's actually rather hard up. She hasn't got much money at all. And Lawrence begins to feel a bit sorry for her. So he's not interested in getting her money now. He's calling the bet off. Freddie's less sure, but eventually he suggests they change the bet. Instead of getting $50,000 from her, the first one to sleep with her wins the bet. Now Lawrence thinks this is incredibly vulgar and crude. He's not interested in this, but he doesn't think Freddie has got a chance with her, so he goes along with this bet anyway. He's betting that Freddie will fail. Anyway, somewhat hilariously, Lawrence is then kidnapped by these sailors, which Freddie has organised. And then Freddie is with Janet alone in her room. And in this hilarious scene, he pretends, with her help, standing by a bed, that he can walk again. And he does it, he gets to the bed, and who's in the corner? But Dr. Emil Schaffhausen. Lawrence, he's there waiting. Lawrence then sends Janet off for her own good, back to home. He thinks that's the end of it all now. Freddie's lost. But Janet actually comes back, and she goes to Freddie's room, and it looks like they're about to make love. We're now into the final act, and just as Lawrence is waving Janet off on the plane, Freddie turns up in a terrible state. No clothes. He claims that Janet has taken all his clothes, his money, everything. And remember, she's received $50,000 from Lawrence. And it turns out that Janet is the con artist after all. She's played the two of them beautifully. She turns out to be the jackal all along. And then right at the end of the film, Lawrence and Freddie are about to bid farewell to each other for the final time, and Janet comes back in a new role, this time as this brash New York estate agent, and with this group of potential clients and investors, and she manages to involve Freddie and Lawrence, and they're a team, and they go off together at the end of the film. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is such an enjoyable film. I mean, the chemistry between Michael Caine, Steve Martin and Glenn Headley is just so palpable, it's just so terrific. And the sheer kind of madcap episodes the characters go through is just all so enjoyable. You know, and some of the themes that crop up, you know, of course, confidence tricksters, but rivalry, greed, wealth, kind of a comedy between the sexes as well, one-upmanship, and of course the conceit of the con artists being conned themselves. I mean, they're all great, well-trodden themes, but my goodness me, is this an enjoyable and entertaining film. Thanks for watching, and there's just a brief slideshow with the themes and structure following. Thank you, bye.